Hello everyone, welcome to Roots to Ways with Vishakha. Today we are speaking to someone whose experienced leadership will help you understand how we make a difference when we are adaptable, curious, and always keep people at the center of your leadership. You'll be inspired today to think differently, innovate with purpose, and lead with empathy. Let's welcome Marco, who is the Asia head for Microsoft Innovation Hub. Hi Marco, thank you so much for taking out time today.
Hello, you're welcome.
Thank you. I think we are going to keep this conversation very candid, just to know more about you, how you look at your professional, personal, and balance the personal and professional life, and that's going to be learning for all of us.
Sure, sounds
Okay,
good.
great. So to start with, Marco, help me understand how your current role looks like. I know the fact that you leading the Microsoft Innovation Hub Asia, and it's an extremely diverse role that you're into. One thing, how does it look like, and what's the most exciting and energetic part that you feel that you're doing right now?
So the answer to that question is different depending on how you look at it.
Yeah.
But how I like to look at it is Microsoft has this amazing program called the Innovation Hub, which is really about how we help our customers get from ideas to some kind of a business outcome super fast.
Yeah.
You would know you're part of the program, and you sort of have the first-hand experience of how powerful it is. And so my role is essentially trying to be the custodian of that program across all of the Asia Pacific countries that Microsoft works in. And when I say custodian, I use that word intentionally because each of the countries has its own culture, its own ways of doing business, its own ways of interacting with its customers. We are really trying to maintain a level of consistency between how each organization is running its innovation hub, but also making sure that they have the tools and the flexibility to succeed.
Right.
So my job is really about figuring out that puzzle of how all of those things fit together, how we can achieve that consistency, how we can make sure everyone is as successful as they can be.
Yeah, that sounds interesting, and how I know how tough it is on the ground when it comes to it's not just the technology that we are talking about, it's the cultural difference that how we are dealing with customers and all together.
And it's way more about people than it is about anything else.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's probably the most the trickiest part of the job, I would say, is working with people.
Yeah. And with that kind of a schedule, I mean, I'm just imagining a day in a life for you. With that schedule, what if you just had one extra working hour? What would be that one thing that you right away want to just add it on the calendar if you get that hour?
If I had an extra hour in my calendar every day, I think I would spend that time connecting with more people. The backbone of my role is connecting with people, understanding people, and helping them solve whatever problems that they have, and I would just spend more time doing that.
Yeah, and I think it's never enough when we talk about connecting with people. There's always a lot to share and give, and
that's right. Yeah.
Great. Let's move to next question. When it comes to automation, now there are agents, AI, and let's go a little hypothetical as well, if you want to. What would be that one thing that you just want to automate and use that time somewhere else where it's more humanish?
Yeah, super easy answer to that question. I would just never think about my calendar ever again. I would have some AI, some automation that understands the context of my day and my week and automatically schedules, reschedules, changes things based on what I'm doing and what my needs are. I spend probably a little bit too much time playing Tetris with my calendar at the moment. So yeah, I could use that time much more effectively.
Definitely. So our future co-pilots are on it. I think
fingers crossed.
They'll be the one who are managing the end-to-end calendar.
Absolutely getting there right now.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. Let's move towards your career journey and aspiration and how you navigated till here. Tell me one thing. What was that one decision? Maybe that could be in your personal or the professional life which you think that yes, because of this, I completely change the way my life looks like right now?
So the decision that I made that kind of changed the course of my life is a little bit of a bittersweet one. And so the story is that I was self-employed for about 5 years, so between 2011 to early 2016. I co-founded a small experience design agency in Melbourne, in Australia, focused on, at the time, cutting-edge AR and VR marketing experiences. So the sorts of things you would see in shopping malls, where you could try on clothes or you could try on makeup and use AR and VR in really interesting ways. And the decision point came in early 2016 where we reached that sticky phase of startups where in order to get more in order to get more business, you need to grow. But in order to grow, you need to get more business. And so there was a decision point there that I needed to make, which was, am I really willing to spend more time committed to this company and try to grow it and invest all of my time into it, all of my effort, and potentially all of my money, and really try to make a go of it in order to grow, not knowing whether it would actually grow, or could I consider finding a role that was a little bit more structured, a little bit more creatively fulfilling for me at the time. And what I ended up doing was finding a role that was eventually leading me to where I am today. And so I went to speak to a company called PwC, which is a consulting company. And at the time, they were hiring for a creative director role in a large organization called Difference, which is essentially large-scale change management and organizational design for PwC's biggest customers. And so the decision I had to make was at that crossroads of, do I stay on the path, continue to push? I really believed in it, but at the same time, I was spending more time on the business side of things, and less on the creative and on the sort of the parts that really excited me. So I decided to take the plunge, step back into the corporate world, step away from the startup world for that time, and that decision definitely changed the course of my life. Brought me here today.
Yeah, I mean, could you share that? Because it's always okay to go ahead, follow your dreams, learn something from them. You said 5 years. I'm pretty sure you must have learned all in and out of the business, what could go wrong, what could go right, and how you must be applying the same at this role. Thank you for sharing that. I hear you saying Australia.
Yep.
Right now we are sitting in Singapore.
That's right.
So on that note, let's just go a little back. Let's talk about where you're coming from. How was it? How it started from your childhood on a personal note, and how you arrived here.
Sure. Well, I mean, I can give you the very long answer, but the somewhat abridged version of that is, ever since I was a little kid, ever since I was sort of 5 years old, even maybe slightly younger, the first time I held a computer keyboard, I knew that all I ever wanted to do was a job where I could use a computer. That's all I cared about, was just using a computer. And so by that measure, the young child in me definitely would be excited with the current job that I'm doing, and the company that I currently work for, Microsoft, always has been a bucket list company for me. But yeah, look, I'm just an old school computer nerd. That's what I grew up in. When other kids were out playing in the streets, I was, typing programs in from magazines into my computers, and then, modifying them and see how they change stuff. And I've always just been so interested in playing with computers, programming, seeing how they work, and all of the things associated with that. And so as I went through school, I chose the subjects which were much more focused on, if I could use a computer, that is the subject that I was doing, because it was just how I wanted to spend my time. But at the same time, I also found myself really interested in things like performing arts and debating and drama and those kinds of things. So my trajectory through school was all about those two things coming together, and that sort of set the stage for the rest of my life. So eventually I ended up in my first job was at a bank, in like information systems, business automation type role, where I was at that early phase helping to build some small automations with, I'm sure the old people in the audience will remember Visual Basic for applications and all that sort of stuff. So building small automations and things like that. And I eventually automated myself out of a job, and ended up being, thankfully, being promoted into a different role. But I held a bunch of different jobs, which has been really interesting. So I stuck with the bank for quite a while, but then that itch of creativity started to come in. So I eventually started my own side business, which was building websites for people and kind of, at the time, early iPhone apps and things like that, sort of when the App Store started to be a thing and you could build your own apps. And yeah, that eventually led me to full-time self-employment, which is what I described before, which is the AR, VR things. And so the jobs that I've had have always been at the sort of bridge of tech stuff and creative stuff. And I love working with people and I love working with computers. And so I joined PwC as a creative director in the difference there, and I worked there for a few years, working on, like I said, large-scale kind of change management for organizations, but in a hands-on way. So it would be that hundreds of people from an organization would come into our space, like an experience center type space, and we would run, let's call them large-scale workshops, to help them navigate through some kind of a change, where it could be creating new company values, or it could be rebuilding your organization from the ground up in a different structure. And my part of that was those engagements would always require some kind of technology to underpin them. So I spent quite a bit of time working with the organizations and helping them through that change. And eventually I was working on I can't really talk about what it was, but I was working on a project that required us to build essentially like an experience, a physical experience space for people to go through and experience some kind of a change. And someone, I guess, who was looking out for someone with those sets of skills saw what I'd done. They approached me and said, hey, we're looking to build an experience center for PwC in Singapore. We need someone to come and help us work on that. So that's what I did. At the time, I didn't have any responsibilities really in Melbourne, nothing keeping me there. So I picked up my stuff and headed over to Singapore. That was 2017. Or 2017, and yeah, that's basically it. So I spent the remainder of my time in Singapore helping to stand up that experience center, and then later on operating like a digital products consulting business from PwC in Singapore. So yeah, then eventually I got the call from Microsoft, and here I am.
Thank you. Glad. With that kind of a diverse background, started with the banking, definitely the Big Four, and then doing something of your own, getting your hands dirty in the technology, and here you are. We're under the right leadership, I can say.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, it was a really interesting journey, and I learned a lot of different things along the way.
Thank you. On that journey, Marco, is there any one advice somebody gave you as a career advice, I would say, which you would really like to pass on and it worked out for you well?
Yeah, I think what has worked out really well for me, and advice, I guess it coincides with advice I was given, and that is just to remain adaptable. I think the greatest asset you can have in any organization, whether it's super big like Microsoft or super small like a startup, is just to be adaptable to change. Change is a constant. It always happens. Things change around us. in our personal lives, in our work lives, but especially at work, being able to face change, be able to reorient yourself in the face of that change, and still find a way to be effective, to be able to deliver. That is a huge asset.
That's extremely important. Now, talking about your leadership and the work style, what do you think is the environment where people grow, experiment themselves, feel free to experiment, and what kind of an environment as a leader you suggest we should create as a team member, or maybe everybody who are day in day out working, not only IT, anywhere? What do you think is the hack to get best out of people?
So I've had quite a few roles as a people manager in the past, and I've always found that people will thrive if they feel that you trust them, if they feel motivated, and if they feel like they have the ability to try to do things their way. What I mean by that is everyone's different. So if you try to force people into a certain way of working or a certain structure, oftentimes what you're going to get is people rebelling against that, or people being unhappy because they're doing stuff that they don't want to do. So I think the environment we create needs to have a clear mission. So people need to understand what the outcome is, but they need to be free to figure out how to get to that outcome. So the Innovation Hub is a really great example of that, because we have a well-defined methodology, but the beauty of it is each of the solution engineers inside the Innovation Hubs are essentially free to figure out how to get to those, how to use that methodology and how to get to the outcomes in their own way. And so as a people leader, my job is provide the environment in which people can succeed, provide the clarity of what the outcomes should be, and then support people to actually get to where they need to be in their own way.
So, in one line, if I may summarize, like, what's your leadership quality? And the way you lead is making sure that people are aware about the mission, and then they are free to achieve the mission in their own way and the style, sticking to the processes that we have.
Yeah, you can call it clarity, trust, and accountability.
Perfect. Thank you. And what's something that teams often misunderstand or misunderstood in past about you? Just a personality trait. And then later maybe they are coming to you and saying, "Oh, I thought this, and that's completely not true."
I think people often think I'm quite serious. Because I tend to have an expression on my face. When I'm thinking about something, I tend to frown, and so people tend to think I'm maybe a little bit serious. But I definitely try not to take things too seriously. I believe that respect for your work, respect for your environment, respect for the people around you is really important. But there's no reason why you can't have a little fun while you're doing your work. And so, I think people tend to think that I'm quite serious because I do tend to try and be quite structured with things. But I think over time, as you get to know me, you realize that's not really the truth.
Great. Let's move towards a little bit of creative fun in the professional environment. What's that one go-to productivity hack that you have? Because all of us are always trying to figure out our notes and to-do list and everything, and there's the scope to learn from somebody.
Yeah.
I would like to know that.
So for me, I have always been someone who is trying to find that focus hack, like figure out, okay, how do I get to focus mode more quickly, and how do I spend more time there actually getting through things? Because I tend to be quite easily distracted. And so what I've found is, especially when it comes to to-do lists and notes and all that, is just keep it as simple as possible. Mm-hmm. I literally have tried all of the different things, and I've ended up on just a single sheet of paper. Right. And that sheet of paper has what I'm doing now and what I need to do next. And then everything else is essentially just trying to switch between tasks as I feel necessary. So when I get bored on one thing, I just swap on to the next thing, because I I like to be able to focus for an hour or two, but I do feel like, yeah, so my trick is have a really simple list of what you need to do, and then for me, allow myself the flexibility to switch between multiple things just to keep it interesting and not stay on one task for too long.
Sometimes we push ourselves. Okay, no, I need to finish this, and then only I'll go to the next task. And you ended up not finishing that and not moving forward as well.
Yeah, it's important to see progress. It's important to kind of feel that forward momentum. So yeah, absolutely.
Great. My next question would be, what's that one tool or app or I can say the software now that you can't live without in your working hours?
It's a great question. I think I've become really fond of Loop.
Yeah.
I really like Loop. At the beginning, I was a Loop skeptic. I didn't really think that it was going to be as cool as it is, but I really like the flexibility. I love writing stuff in it. I like, how you can organize things and how you can share things around. And yeah, my to-do list is in Loop. It is just a single page that just has my notes and what I'm working on, and it's really great. So yeah, right now I would say Loop. I can pretty much get rid of everything else. Oh, except Teams is the other thing, which you can't in Microsoft. You can't live without Teams. No, but Loop is interesting answer. Definitely, Teams, Copilot, those are now given. They are there all the time. Yeah. But Loop is super interesting. Loop is the one that's really made a difference to me in the last year or so. Okay, what's that one hobby which you follow outside work and which you really think that that hobby or the mindset that you learn from there is helping you at some way or the other in your work culture, environment altogether? Yeah, well, I mean, I like I said to you before, I'm a huge computer nerd, but I'm going to date myself, but about 15, nearly 20 years ago now, I took up weightlifting. And I think lifting weights has been one of those things that I recommend everyone to try it at least once. Exercising is awesome, running, athletics, all of those things are amazing, but weightlifting is one of those things that seems impossible at the beginning, but it really is what you put in is what you get out. And it is really great. It's a really great feeling to see the progress that you get from investing in it. Yeah. And it's one of those things that you can optimize endlessly. So weightlifting is a really good hobby for nerds to get into. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, that's always I feel like 90% time I'm thinking about it. Yeah. But never going ahead and doing it right. So why not? The hardest part about exercising in general is just getting to the starting line, whatever it is, whether it's a gym, whether it's going out for a run, like just getting up off the couch and going and doing something is the hardest bit. But once you're doing it, then it's always fun. I get it. I think it must be interesting enough. And I feel that also gives you the resilience, the consistency that you're looking for, and that's definitely what matters. I think, that's a good advice to share. Okay, let's go. Let's get into a little bit of deeper, meaningful, still work safe connection questions. So, what are the challenge that you overcome over the period of time? You think? Because all of us go through our own set of challenges, and if we could identify and overcome those challenges, we suddenly see the change in your work, career, personal life. What do you think for you it was? For me, it was overcoming how self-critical I am. My whole professional career, whether it's my recent times in PwC and Microsoft, or before, whenever I've had a manager or a partner or a coworker that I've worked really closely with, they've always told me that I'm too hard on myself, and I definitely am. I take personal setbacks just too personally, I think, rather than just seeing them for what they are. Everyone makes mistakes. Not everyone gets things perfect every time. Almost no one gets things perfect every time. So I wouldn't say I've completely overcome it, but I'm doing better at recognizing when I'm being too self-critical and maybe just being a little bit more gentle with myself from time to time. Yeah, that's great. And what motivates you the most at Microsoft Innovation Hub? Me being the part of it, I would really like to know, because our
our roles are very diverse.
Yeah.
It's technology, people, all together.
Mm-hmm.
But what one thing which motivates you the most here?
Well, I think the motivation for me really is, well, firstly, I think it's almost the purest embodiment of Microsoft's mission,
Yes.
to empower every organization on the planet to do more, achieve more. Um, the Microsoft Innovation Hub is a distillation of that mission. We really, all we do is empower our customers to achieve more. And that's often with the latest technology, or it's, with the creativity of our engagements and how we sort of drive that outcome for those customers. So what motivates me the most is, first of all, the outcomes that we can help our customers achieve. But secondly, the people, working with the people is the number one motivator for me. And seeing people grow, seeing people succeed, seeing the sheer amount of creativity, innovation, excitement, energy that everyone in the hub brings to their work, and how they achieve that mission is the most gratifying thing about working.
Let's get into the quick rapid fire. It doesn't need to be as rapid. You can just go ahead and explain your answers as well. So my first question is, if not in IT, where Marco would be working or what you would be doing?
Yeah. So I've always wanted to be in IT, like I said, or in working with computers. But if I wasn't, it would be the complete opposite. I'd be totally switched off, totally disconnected, somewhere in nature. Maybe no one would see me. I would just be hidden somewhere
Vanished.
amongst the trees, just existing as a human being, like they did thousands of years ago. So, yeah, that's me.
Wow. Marco, I hear you talking about shift between Australia and Singapore, and now you're staying here. It's been almost 10 years. One thing that you're very fascinated about when it comes to Singapore?
The one thing that fascinates me about Singapore is how this diverse group of people that live here somehow coexist in a productive way.
Yeah.
I really love the fact that there are so many different people in Singapore, all from different walks of life, different backgrounds, from all different countries in the world. It really is a true melting pot of a society. And I just love, and I'm fascinated with, to answer your question, how the society functions in such a harmonious way. Yeah, it's a really lovely place to live.
Yeah, I can understand that. And now tell me one dish that we must try when we are here.
For me, it's the satay.
Okay.
There's a lot of different dishes that Singapore is extremely popular and well known for, but for me, satay is that number one thing that you must try. And actually, we've got a nice one close by here, so I can give you the tip.
We'll do that. And talking about who is that one person in your life you'll always say that idol, or maybe you look after, that okay, this is one personality that I always look after.
Great question. I have a few. Probably my number one hero, and again, I guess it's going to belie how much of a nerd I am, but my number one hero is a gentleman called John Carmack, who is probably the greatest programmer that's ever walked the earth, responsible for a great deal of my childhood as far as the things that I did when I was a kid, playing games that he made or products that he influenced. He's probably the number one. I would say equal number one would be, in a similar vein, Shigeru Miyamoto from Nintendo, the inventor of Mario and a bunch of other amazing things that Nintendo has done. Definitely another one of my idols, and someone who was responsible for a big part of who I am today.
Yeah. On that note, one advice that you would like to share with this generation who must be definitely getting their hands dirty, passionate about AI technology, and may not be even. What would you like to give them an advice as a career, leader, or life altogether?
I would just say, I'm probably not qualified to give lots of people advice, but I would say always keep learning, always do something where you feel like you have something to learn. And if you feel like you're slowing down for whatever reason at work, you're not learning as much, find something else to learn. There's always value in experiencing something new, learning something new. So keep that going in your career, and you'll never be stagnant.
Thank you. My last question, Marco, is about what's one thing that stayed with you when you joined Microsoft as cultural difference?
The one thing that really stuck out to me when I joined, and I've been here almost exactly 4 years now. That is, I've never asked someone for help and they've said no. Every time I've asked someone for help, the person that I've asked has always been more than willing to jump into whatever it is and help me. And those could be senior leaders, those could be my peers, my colleagues, and that's just not something that I've experienced at other organizations as broadly. That really stuck out to me, that people really try to help each other as best they can. Yeah, I experience that every single day. When you reach out to people, when you don't reach out to people as well, your first 90 days is when you realize that yes, everybody is out there to help you, make you home, make you feel comfortable within the organization. And thank you for adding that. That is great. Thank you so much, Marco, for having this conversation. This is super interesting, and I'm pretty sure every single person who is going to watch and hear this out will get inspired from the diverse journey that you had. And I'm glad you joined us at Innovation Hub, and we're looking forward to work with you. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching this episode. We'll see you in the next episode with more inspiring stories where we are always connected to our roots and flying high with the wings.